Military of Morrowind, the safeguard of tradition. This video will be discussing the great House Redoran of Morrowind. If you're new to the series or wish to ponder what it means to roleplay as a Redoran, then this video is for you. If you enjoy, don't forget to subscribe and tell me what your favorite Redoran character is. Whether this is a character you created, or if it's just a character in the game that you really like. Firstly, what does House Redoran stand for? Last video we talked about the Telvanni, who desire to use magic to enact their will. But House Redoran is simple. Tradition, honor, and faith. These are the three pillars of their house. Stand the strongest. As warriors, the men of Redoran practice the martial arts differently than other warrior groups like the Fighters Guild and the Companions, so let's kind of discuss those differences for a short time. So House Redoran believes strongly in family identity. To them, you owe a debt to your family and clan of origin. As such, many House Redoran will refer to their family or clan that they come from. To an outsider, we just kind of shrug and say, yeah, okay, you're from the Cedra family. Big whoop. But to a Redoran, they see all the deeds that family has done, and they treat you with that collective respect or disdain that family has earned with their house. In some cases, this breeds inferiority complexes and puts excessive pressure on the youth, as the children are taught the greatness of their family and their achievements that helped gain Redoran fame and glory. As such, many Redoran children are pressured into learning skills like dueling and mastery of the martial arts that they may have zero interest in. The result is that, well, many adults who rule House Redoran that disregard people's wants, they do so because, after all, they may have wanted to do something else in life, but they had to throw that away in exchange for what their family needed. An internal repression of one's personality is pretty common with this house, yet some of the greatest military minds have come from this house of noble warriors. You see, it's pretty common for someone to say, oh, this is the guildmaster's son. He keeps complaining about how he wants to read poetry and stuff, but he needs to get over that and learn how to pick up a sword and shield and fight properly. As such, you're going to have this child who grows up and he's going to sit there and look at people and they're going to go, oh, I wish that I could go to college and learn the arts of archaeology and stuff. He's going to look at them as pathetic. He's going to be like, yeah, I wanted to learn poetry, but here I am, the greatest fucking duelist of the house. Shut up. Just throw away your dreams and ambitions like I did and do what's best for your family. Do what's best for your neighbor. Do what's best for your house. We don't care about what you want. You got to care about what we need. What do we need, not want? Now, you take this in contrast to the Fighters Guild, who accepts just about anyone, no matter their background. And the Companions, who likewise do pretty much the same. Redoran demands its members to be the peak of physical strength, whereas the Companions, they don't make such demands. To be in House Redoran is to be the buffest, toughest man with the skill of a weapon that makes the weapon look like water as it cuts through butter. As this has become the forefront of their house, it is no wonder that many of House Redoran become mercenaries, often serving other houses as guards. In fact, in times of war, House Redoran is the house that acts as the sole military of Morrowind, vowing to protect all Dark Elf and their traditions. You see, House Redoran is, at large, the homebodies of the houses. To a Telvanni, they could set up a domain in Blackmarsh if they wished. But to House Redoran, they deem that it is their moral honor and duty in staying in the Dark Elf homelands, practicing local customs, and guarding the common Dark Elf from all threats. This also includes the religious practices. To noble House Redoran, they view that members of society should frequently pay homage to the temple and conduct a few charity works in its name, as this brings honor to both clan and family. One example of this is Aldrune, the capital of House Redoran in Morrowind. There is this man who inherited his family's wealth and gambled it all away. He kept borrowing items from all the shops that were extremely wealthy items. Like, we're talking like ebony rings, extravagant robes, expensive books. Mind you, he never paid for these items, as people knew his family and expected him to live up to their name. Finally, after days and days and days, it was clear he wouldn't be paying for the items back. So the shopkeepers tell you, can you please just get the items back to us? We don't really care what you do to them. But if you talk to him, you can sober him up, and he realizes that there's only one way out of this. He gives you all the belongings that he borrowed, and he tells you to please bring it back to the shopkeepers. He's done with his dishonorable ways. And he goes to the temple, and he donates his family's house to the temple. And he signs up to become a member of the local temple, and honoring the saints of his family and of his people. To House Redoran, this is a great step in erasing one's dishonor and bringing joy back to your family name, as he's giving away back to society and seeking to strengthen his internal character by becoming more pious to fight against this dark, gambling greed that he has been consumed by. As you can imagine, House Redoran is rather harsh in their judgment of people's character. To them, it's better for you to die fighting an impossible fight than to live onwards as a coward. It is one of the faults, as stated earlier, to be a House Redoran, is that you put yourself last, and you put family, temple, tradition first. This being said, there is another house that is religious. The only difference is that House Redoran is dedicated to really any religion that's willing to sustain the Dark Elven way of life. So while supporters of the Tribunal, it really wouldn't affect them much to lose the temple, as long as the new religion that replaces it is true to Dark Elven traditions. This is what puts them at odds with House Indoril. Indoril believes that all Dark Elves should completely and blindly follow the Tribunal demands. In fact, while the temple and House Redoran are on the same side, it doesn't stop the temple from endorsing other houses to steal land from Redoran. Something we see in Morrowind is that House Redoran is at its all-time low. It is the weakest the house has ever been, as Telvanni wizards have no restrictions, so they've been just taking away lands by using their magic to just kill people for no reason. House Halalu is blackmailing and bribing imperial officials to give them deeds to the lands that once belonged to House Redoran, forcing Redoran to back off and honor these treaties. And lastly, the temple. The temple wants its own footholds and its own strongholds, so they start pushing House Redoran to take over territories that put these lands are extremely dangerous. So this puts Redoran in a weaker stance as they waste troops only to claim lands that are just going to get taken out from underneath them because the temple is going to say, oh wow, you took this? Yeah, we're going to put a giant temple here and take up all the living space in this city. And we're going to make it where only pilgrims come here, so they don't even pay you taxes, they don't even live here, they don't even help you with the farm. They just come here just to pay us pretty much charity. House Redoran, as you can see, is unable to adapt to these obstacles. If someone forges a treaty and claims that the land that they're living on is theirs, House Redoran is helpless, as they believe in honoring all deals made, despite the fakeness of the deal. If attacked by another house, they can only defend themselves martially. If this opposing house was deciding to eliminate Redoran's trade partners or send assassins to kill members of the house, they won't retaliate in the same way. They view this as dishonorable, so they would never stoop to that low. This makes them easy prey, as the only repercussions you would face if you were doing this to a House Redoran member is you're just going to have a single warrior yelling outside your wall demanding a duel to the death. But you could just simply ignore his challenges or just send a bunch of assassins to kill him, or worse yet, spread lies about him. They did some sort of dishonorable deed, forcing him to deal with lies before he can come back and challenge you. As House Redoran, you're bound by honor, tradition, and family. This bond is more of a noose that could kill you and put you in such a disadvantageous position that it would tempt any Redoran to break their oaths. But that's the beauty of the house. No matter how low they get, no matter how broke their bank account gets, no matter how shafted they get by these backdoor deals, they stay together, united, as a collection of families of shared burden. They trudge through the hardship, tilling their farms and praying at their local temples. They unite under their guildmaster, following his guidance. In fact, that's the greatest thing about House Redoran. Redoran never breaks, never gives up. With emphasis on family, the house, when beset by hardship, they become further united more than ever. Even if the current guildmaster is short-sighted or foolish, at least the house backs him up. They stand together, resulting in a cohesion that is unseen in any other house. A good example is Halalu. If House Halalu starts losing their allies and is now beset by all sides, where they lost trade partners, mercenaries are attacking their cities, and the temple was just draining them dry, Halalu members would leave the house and join other houses to maintain their power. They have no moral fiber that keeps them in place, no faith in their leaders to lead them out of this darkness. This is why in Skyrim we find out that when Morrowind was destroyed by wars with Argonians, the mountain erupting, destroying many cities, and the Oblivion Crisis as armies of Daedra invaded, House Redoran stood. They stayed united. They formed their army of trained men, charging out to save the other houses despite their actions to hurt House Redoran. Now you may ask yourself, why would Redoran help the other houses? Didn't these houses totally screw them over? Why help such terrible people, such treacherous scum? The answer is simple. Because it's in their tradition. It is the tradition of the Telvanni to use magic to take over lands unjustly. It is the tradition of Halalu to bribe land officials to give them territory. While it is dishonorable, and no Redoran would do such a thing, they do acknowledge that for hundreds of years, these people have shaped Morrowind in their traditions. As such, as guardians of Morrowind, guardians of the Dark Elves, they willingly sacrifice themselves to save the other houses, despite the fact that these houses would never do the same for them. It's this strength of character that House Redoran has earned its fame. To do the best for people who would frankly stab you in the back. To stand tall and fight a threat head-on with pure martial prowess. Something of a side note that I find kind of particularly interesting about House Redoran is their strict usage of local resources to build their cities. You see, in House Redoran, when you explore their homes, you notice that many of their buildings are made with bone molds of large creatures, or dug-out mud houses supported by bone structure. And their farms are using simply anything that is local to the area. In practice, if House Redoran was to move to Skyrim, for example, you would see cities with mammoth furs and mammoth bones to build houses, while growing wheat in beehives that are local to the land. This is different, of course, because to some factions like House Dress or House Halalu, if they take over an area, boom, they're going to start making a lot of cash crops to soak in the riches. Even if these cash crops are not local to the area, they're going to build structures that obviously look different because they're using their architecture. They're not melding in with the locals. They're not trying to blend in. This is very different from House Redoran, who do. They actually engage with the environment that they live in. This is the tradition of their people, to live amongst the land, to practice local custom. Yes, it is alien for a Redoran farmer to grow wheat instead of salt rice, but if it is local to the area, then they must engage with it. Also interesting is that House Redoran doesn't use slaves as much as the other houses, so losing slavery was never a big deal for them. After all, it grows one's character to man their own farms rather than force others to do it. As such, this is kind of the downside, is that their farms are not gigantic plantations, because they just don't have the workforce. If it's just you, your wife, and maybe your kid manning the farm, you can't have 50 crops of salt rice. No, you gotta manage maybe 10, maybe 20. As such, you can imagine they rely on others for food. To be a House Redoran warrior as a player, I would keep that in mind, that if you played something like Oblivion or Skyrim, to change your character based on the local customs. If the area you are in is full of axe-wielding warriors, then wield an axe and drink a barrel of mead when you charge at them. If you play back in Morrowind, then wield an ebony blade and drink some Sujuma and charge at them. Back to the other aspect of Redoran, their main economy besides farming is actually mercenary work. We talked about this briefly in the beginning, but I kind of want to reinforce it. Serving as warriors for another house, like House Dress, is considered part of upholding tradition, but it's a good way of securing honor and wealth for the clan. As such, most houses have a relatively good standing with Redoran, despite all the backstabbing. Like House Dress is constantly fighting off Argonians, and they need Argonian slaves in their plantations. As such, they employ Redoran mercenaries who are great fighters at guarding their ranches. Then once the contract is done, the Redoran warriors can simply cash in the favors like, hey, I held your farm from the invasion of what's his name, so I want to buy your salt rice in bulk for a good price. As such, the head of the house of Redoran is typically well connected and in such good standing with some of the local nobles of other houses that Redoran usually reaps in good deals on produce goods. This allows their blacksmiths to forge nearly endless swords and armor because the ores that they're getting imported and shipped from them is coming at an incredibly cheap price. Now you may wonder, well, if other houses were backstabbing Redoran in Morrowind, how come they were still giving them ores and stuff to make weapons and armor? Well, you gotta remember too, House Redoran is the military. They are the protectors of these houses. So while it's more advantageous for the houses to try to usurp them and beat them down, they still need warriors. And who's gonna hold these incredibly dangerous areas if they don't have the best armor, the best weapons? So, the blacksmiths of Redoran are always forging. They're always endlessly getting ores shipped to them. This makes them the best equipped. I hope you all enjoyed, and tell me who your favorite is so far. I still love Telvanni. Nothing's ever going to change that. But let me know down below if you view Redoran in a great light after this video. I'll be conducting more lore later on in the week, so see you in the ads next time.